On the news, JAMB releases 2025 UTME results, withholds 39,834 others. Dangote says his company has no competition with NNPCL. And British Nigerian art dealer Ochuko Ojiri pleads guilty to funding terrorism. It's a pleasure to have you join News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Joy Uchejim. Now, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio has petitioned the Federal High Court in Abuja to order Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, the suspended lawmaker representing Kogi Central, to delete a satirical apology she posted on her social media pages. Akpabio, in a fresh application filed by his legal team, led by Kehinde Ogunwumiju, asked the court to direct Akpoti-Uduaghan to delete the video, saying it violated a judge's directive. Meanwhile, suspended Kogi Central Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has denied violating the court orders, restraining her from posting on social media and granting interviews over her allegations against Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Natasha was responding to Akpabio's suit, demanding an apology over the satirical apology she posted on her Facebook page. And on security, the former director of the Department of State Services, Mike Ejiofor, has thrown his weight behind the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Abubakar, debunking claims that terrorists and bandits in Nigeria are better armed than the Nigerian military. Speaking in response to recent concerns over the rising wave of insecurity, Ejiofor said while the tactics used by non-state actors may differ, it is inaccurate to suggest that they possess superior firepower. According to him, the difference lies in the approach to using arms, not the quality or quantity of weapons. This comes after Defense Minister Mohammed Abubakar described the claims as false and misleading. Ejiofor also addressed the issue of arms exportation, stating that Nigeria cannot consider exporting weapons when its own security forces are yet to be adequately equipped to meet internal demands.
Why it appears that there are more there's no way they can be more sophisticated in terms of arms than our security forces, who have an area view power over them. I'm not aware that any of them has a helicopter, even talking of jets. So the arms they are using, what I can explain why people are apprehensive that they are more armed is that they don't use standard operational procedure. Unlike our military forces, they use standard operational, they have rules of engagement, but these people don't have. How do you explain that you just come to a community, open fire, kill the people, burn their houses? The military cannot do that. And if they do that, you see the international community talking of abuse of human rights. But now that they are the people burning houses, killing people, nobody's talking of human rights abuses. So that's the difference. I don't think they're better equipped or better armed than our security people. It's not that we are lacking arms. It's not that we are lacking sufficient arms, but it can never be enough. It will not. You will not compare this with that we are importing arms. I don't think we have sufficient arms in terms of what we are to use. So that's why I'm against exportation. We need to get self-sufficient first. It's like a proverb in my place: you don't carry an elephant on your head and be using leg to dig cricket. We have a lot of security challenges. Our police, the civil defense, you can see the type of arms they use. So we should get them properly equipped and let them deploy them into all these areas of problem before we start. What are we talking of exportation of arms when we don't have sufficient arms in our hands?
And the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board, JAMB, has announced the release of the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination UTME results. The board also disclosed that it is withholding the results of 39,834 candidates over issues relating to examination irregularities. JAMB Registrar Ishaq Oloyede revealed this on Friday while officially releasing the 2025 UTME. He He also disclosed that while 467 underage candidates met the prescribed minimum score, 50 were engaged in cheating scandals.
Statistics from the 2025 UTME indicates a significant reduction in cases of examination malpractices. While there is still much work to be done to eradicate these issues entirely, the various innovative measures introduced by the board are proving effective. A total of 96 results have been withheld on account of examination infractions, a decrease from 123 last year, while further results remain under investigation. The 2025 UTME showed the prevalence of some particular types of infractions, which suggest systemic vulnerabilities or gaps in registration and examination administration and monitoring. The new trends observed were in the registration and examination processes, and they were mainly in the following categories. Identity fraud. Many people attempted to steal the identities of others. 2, biometric fraud of combined thumbprint of candidate and impersonator at the point of registration, with the active involvement of few CBT centers, whereby a candidate who goes to register will go with 2 or 3 persons. And with the connivance of some of our CBT centers, they will contribute their fingers, 3 or 4 persons, instead of 1 person contributing the 10 fingers. And any of them could go in for our examination, provided they are not caught. But they are wise, they are clever by half.
International relations. ECOWAS President Omar Toure has decried the deplorable state of infrastructure at the Nigerian Benin Republic, Seme border, in spite of the huge investment in it by ECOWAS. Omar Toure stated this during an official on-the-spot assessment visit to the Nigeria-Lagos Seme border, which is one of West Africa's busiest and most strategic corridors. The visit was aimed at assessing how the ECOWAS protocol on free movement of goods and services was being implemented and to identify obstacles. Toure called for urgent reforms to safeguard the region's free movement protocol and pledged to deliver a full report and recommendations towards addressing the decadence and removing all cross-border obstacles.
It is a pleasure to see this joint border post. It is a structure that has a lot of potential, but it is at the same time disappointing to see that a number of facilities that have cost us a lot of money are not working. That we must admit. We can't continue to have expensive infrastructure of this nature and not having them working. That can't work. That can't be sustained. So this visit has enabled us to really have a good idea and report back and see how we can address these challenges, because I don't think the community will forgive us for having infrastructure in place that should really be working at an optimal level, and it's not even working. It's unfortunate. So we will have to dig into this and see how it can work. I think the problem I have identified, or I have noticed, you have the mechanical side as well as the human side. Perhaps it might be easier to handle the mechanical side, because that is a question of fixing what is not working. But then the human side is what we need to work on very closely, and that is the number of checkpoints that we have in our on our corridors within our countries.
And the House of Representatives has resolved to investigate the immediate and underlying causes behind the government's failure to pay contractors for completed projects. This decision followed the adoption of a motion of public importance moved by Honorable Nnamdi Ezechi. During the debate, some lawmakers voiced concerns over the widespread abandonment of projects across the country, attributing it to the government's inability to settle outstanding payments to contractors.
The lack of releases, like you didn't mention, is affecting a lot of things. Some people have invested their money through the actualization of the projects, but because of the lack of releases, they couldn't continue, they couldn't complete, and in a way, that is also putting the local contractors into
time you lose in releasing money to a contractor or to somebody executing project for you, you are equally losing the time of completion and the skyrocketing cost of projects. That is the rates at which a contractor puts to execute.
And now the President and Chief Executive Officer of Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, says there is no rivalry between his organization and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, reaffirming a shared commitment to collaboration in Nigeria's energy sector. Dangote made the remarks during a courtesy visit to the Group Chief Executive Officer of the NNPCL, Bashir Ojulari, at the NNPC Towers in Abuja, where both parties pledged to deepen strategic cooperation aimed at strengthening energy security and driving national prosperity. He congratulated Ojulari and his newly appointed senior management team, describing their roles as pivotal in navigating the energy sector's future. And now, a 53-year-old British-Nigerian art expert, Ogenochukwu Ojiri, has pleaded guilty in a terrorism financing case after failing to report a series of high-value art sales to a man sanctioned over alleged links to Hezbollah. Ojiri, who has appeared as a freelance expert on foreign media programs, admitted 8 counts of failing to make a disclosure over the course of business under the Terrorism Act 2000. This marks the first prosecution of its kind in the United Kingdom. According to reports by local media, Westminster Magistrates Court heard that between October 2020 and December 2021, Ojiri sold artwork worth £140,000 to Nazim Ahmad, a man sanctioned by the United States in 2019 and later by the UK government in 2023 for alleged support to the proscribed group Hezbollah. And the Lagos State Parastatals Monitoring Office has lauded the outstanding performance of 102 agencies and parastatals in the state, describing them as role models in public administration and governance. Speaking during a press briefing held as part of the activities marking Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's second term in office, the permanent secretary of the PMO, Adetutu Ososonya, said the state government parastatals became role models for others because they are poised for effective performance in terms of service delivery and revenue generation. She emphasized the role of her office in ensuring that the agencies under its oversight remain viable and meet their assigned targets.
The office monitors and evaluates the operations of these agencies and government-owned companies across the state to ensure that they are run in accordance with the relevant administrative and financial guidelines. These have witnessed remarkable achievements in the last 1 year. The office has also consistently been building the capacity of its workforce through manpower development, information sharing, coaching and deployment of digital technological skills to upscale the productivity of staff. Ladies and gentlemen, parastatals, also known as state-owned enterprises and government-owned companies, are various government agencies that operate in various sectors of the economy, such as transportation, energy, finance, commerce, health, communications, etc. They are of utmost importance to the socio-economic development of the state in particular and the country in general. Parastatal organizations perform key roles in delivering specific services to the general public in line with the laws that establish them and government policy directives. As of today, we have about total of 102 parastatals agencies and government-owned companies straddling across the length and breadth of the states that are being monitored and evaluated by the PMO. So we have the vision and mission of the office. The vision, as stated, to improve efficiency and effectiveness of all state-owned parastatals.
And the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has voiced strong opposition to the recent decision by the National Universities Commission to upgrade the nomenclature of degree programs in pharmacy, physiotherapy, and optometry from bachelor's degrees to doctor status in Nigerian universities. The NUC implemented these changes in January, explaining that the decision was driven by the need to incorporate more clinical and practical sessions, improve foundational course coverage, enhance clinical skills, and address all specialty areas comprehensively. In response, the association expressed significant concerns that the move may have unintended consequences. We'll go on a short break here, but still to come on News Now, Trump has signaled he's open to cutting China tariffs to 80% ahead of trade negotiations. Details of this story after this break. Welcome back. Here's a recap of our top stories. Now, the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board (JAMB) has on Friday announced the release of the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination (UTME) results. The board also disclosed that it is withholding the results of 39,834 candidates over issues relating to examination irregularities. We also informed you that a 53-year-old British-Nigerian art expert, Ogenochukwu Ojiri, has pleaded guilty in a terrorism financing case after failing to report a series of high-value art sales to a man sanctioned over alleged links to Hezbollah. Ojiri, who has appeared as a freelance expert on foreign media programs, including Bargain Hunt, admitted 8 counts of failing to make a disclosure during the course of business under the Terrorism Act 2000. Now, in case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV and AVO TV, or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. It's now time for business news, and Victoria Konde is on standby with the latest. What's up, Victoria?
Thank you very much, Joy. Welcome to Business News. Now, Nigeria's economic projections for the year may face major setbacks as crude oil prices plunge below $60 per barrel. This development could destabilize the country's fragile exchange rate regime and widen an already gaping fiscal deficit. The sharp drop in oil prices, driven by accelerated OPEC plus supply increases and weakening global demand, has triggered anxiety in government circles and among investors. TV260's Opeyemi Owosemi has more on this story.
Oil has long been the backbone of Nigeria's economy, but the government reliance on the sector is being tested once again. The country's 2025 budget was predicted on a crude oil benchmark of $75 per barrel and daily production of 2.06 million barrels per day. But current realities are far from ideal. Oil prices have tumbled, trading as low as $59 per barrel, while Nigeria's output has slipped to roughly 1.4 million barrels per day. Analysts say the gap between projections and performance may create major revenue challenges for the country.
When you now come to the aspect of the crash in the price, we are highly vulnerable, I must tell you. Even when we had the oil boom, you and I understand that we never invested this for a period like this. And I see the budget of the 2025 suffering, and we having more deficit, which might be much more than what we experienced last year because of this. I think it will allow the government to put on their thinking cap.
Most of our foreign exchange earnings still comes from oil. So when oil price falls, then the amount of foreign exchange we're going to be able to generate from oil also reduces. Because it reduces our supply of foreign exchange, which is essential to stabilizing our exchange rate, also reduces. The implication is that there might be some pressure on the naira.
The consequences won't just be felt in government accounts. The bigger worry is how it could trickle down to the public, from rising borrowing costs and inflation to fewer job opportunities.
Yeah, it will definitely impact on them. Don't forget that government is the largest expenditure base of the country, the largest employer of labor. If they are unable to sustain that which they carry out, all we will see is that there will be retrenchment, there will be redundance. When there are redundancy in organization, you know what that implies. It spill over to the private sector. And that's why we are of the opinion that when you look at some of these areas, government needs to manage it properly.
Experts say it is time Nigeria shifts gear, moving away from oil dependency and developing alternative revenue streams.
I saw a communication between a friend of mine and his own friend who lives in the US. The friend is trying to come to Nigeria to come and do a procedure. Why? Because when he looked at the cost of doing that same procedure in America, vis-a-vis doing it in Nigeria, the American costs were about 4 times for him. So he was shopping for the right places in Nigeria where he can come and have that procedure. That's an isolated situation, but we can be deliberate about ensuring we can have more of such reverse tourism, which people can come to Nigeria and, and enjoy certain services simply because the cost is much cheaper in Nigeria.
Government must look internally to reduce the pressure that we have on foreign products, and they must lead by example, not just giving instruction even to we the citizen that domesticate your things, patronize local product when they are not doing. It must start from Mr. President.
As Nigeria contends with falling oil prices and underproduction, the success of the 2025 budget now hangs in the balance. For experts, the real concern isn't in the figures, it's in the day-to-day reality of higher prices, weaker currency, and tighter household budgets. Okpeyemi Owusheni, TV360 News, Lagos.
Right now, we'll go on a short break and be back with stock market updates. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's the final trading day of the week, and the Nigerian equities ended in negative territory, declining by 0.46%, bringing the market capitalization to 68.4 trillion naira. In total, 126 NGX listed equities participated in trading, ending with 34 gainers and 32 losers. On the losing side, Transcorp Power came last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 9.98%, closing at 328 naira 50 kobo per share, and was followed closely by Alden Macall. At the close of the last weekday of trading on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, over 459 million shares were exchanged in 15,728 deals, corresponding to a market value exceeding 11 billion. Now, when this is compared with the previous trading day, which is Thursday, the 8th of May, today's data shows a 17% decline in volume, a 22% decline in turnover, and a 6% decline in the number of deals. Now, switching to the global scene, two of our selected equities, the UK's FTSE and Japan's Nikkei, ended in positive territory, while their counterpart, the US Dow Jones, bucked the trend by ending in the negative territory, as you can see on the screen. Now, in the foreign exchange market, as of today on the black market, the US dollar is trading at 1,565 naira, the British pound at 2,015 naira, and the euro at 1,670 naira on the black market. That's it on both business and stock market updates. Back to you, Joy, for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Victoria. And now on the foreign scene, the Vatican has announced that the inauguration mass for Pope Leo XIV will be held on Sunday, May 18th in St. Peter's Square. The ceremony taking place 10 days after the election of Robert Francis Prevost as the first American to lead the world's 1.4 billion Catholics is expected to draw world leaders and dignitaries from across the globe. According to the Vatican, Pope Leo XIV will meet with journalists on Monday following his inauguration and with diplomats accredited to the Holy See on Friday. His first general audience is scheduled for Wednesday, May 21st, and he will meet with members of the Roman Curia, the Vatican's top officials, on May 24th. And still on the foreign scene, President Donald Trump has suggested he may be open to significantly reducing the current 145% U.S. tariff on Chinese goods ahead of upcoming trade negotiations between the two countries. In a post on Friday, Trump wrote that an 80% tariff on China seems right, up to Scott B., seemingly referring to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. The statement comes just one day after Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer are set to meet with Chinese officials in Geneva for trade talks. Trump had also hinted that he was considering lowering the existing tariff rate on China. And finally, on sports, the Flying Eagles have been handed a daunting test in their quest to progress at the 2025 Under-20 AFCON in Egypt, as they will face defending champion Senegal in the quarter-final of the tournament on Monday, May 12th. Senegal confirmed their spot as Nigeria's knockout opponent on Thursday after beating DR Congo 2-0 in their last Group C game. Nigeria reached the quarterfinals of the championships on Wednesday after an uncompromising 2-2 draw against Kenya in the last match of Group B. And still on sports, the Indian Premier League has been suspended indefinitely amid escalating conflicts between India and Pakistan, according to Indian media reports on Friday. The decision to host the world's wealthiest cricket tournament came after Thursday's match in Dharamsala, located less than 200 kilometers from the northern city of Jammu, was abandoned following reports of nearby explosions. The suspension follows a third consecutive day of hostilities between the two nuclear-armed neighbors, with India reporting that it had repelled overnight drone and artillery attacks launched from Pakistan. And that's our bulletin on News Now. Many thanks for watching. I am Joy Ucheji. See you next time.